Is it really lonely at the top? Welcome to the Red to Black podcast, hosted by Werner and Mario. Mario, what are your thoughts?
Quick story for you, Warner. There was a famous comedian who also is a member of Larry Ellison's golf community in Las Vegas, and he said he was out there golfing one morning with like a party of four, and Larry Ellison was behind him, and they let him play through. And Larry teed off, hit the ball 300-400 yards down the fairway, and as he was grabbing his bags, going to chase his ball, this comedian made a joke and said, "Hey, Larry, is it really lonely at the top?" And Larry turned around and said, "Yeah, it is." And he walked off. And I don't think that Larry Ellison is even probably keeping score when he's out there on his golf course, shooting a round of golf. He's really out there thinking. He's thinking about the next 15 moves in his life. And when he is distracted, intelligent people have a curse. They have a blessing and a curse. When he's distracted with society or with conversations, he's having to process all the combinations of permutations. Even this weekend, Warner and I hung out. We hung out for a couple of days over Labor Day weekend. And unfortunately, we were in a situation where a young lady came into our life with her son, and we were just kind of discussing kind of the tragedy of divorce or single parenthood. Just working through that took us off our mission. Just working through the tragedy of relationships or failed relationships took us off our mission. And what I think very intelligent people do is they realize their brain doesn't allow them to just kind of take in information and just kind of do nothing with it. They're constantly thinking about how this came to be and how they want to maneuver through life and not make the same mistakes as other people and learn vicariously. And the more they're around people, the more they're off their mission. So I think it's incredibly lonely at the top. As you move up, less people are able to hang with you, and the more you're probably thinking about your assets and how to make moves and how to continue to grow. So I think if we look at Larry Ellison, I think it's incredibly lonely at the top. What are your thoughts, Warner?
Yeah, it reminds me back to my drinking days in terms of from 20 to 30. And I remember there's a whole crew of guys in the military that I would go out drinking with. And then when I left the military, and I cut back on my drinking from my 30s to my 40s, a whole group of those guys faded away because I said, hey, I'm not really interested in drinking. They're still drinking. I'm going to a higher level because I see that performance is about becoming as an efficient person as you possibly can. And that means cutting out a lot of the dead weight, which is alcohol, toxic relationships, individuals that don't see your vision, support your vision, because you and I are up to big things. Larry Ellison is up to big things. And as you start going higher and higher and higher, like you said, most people can't keep up. And the last thing you want is individuals dragging you down because it subtracts from your mission. So what's really interesting is why are individuals choosing golf courses? I mean, I know Larry Ellison, I think, used to walk with Steve Jobs in his neighborhood, and they would just talk and think and strategize, collaborate, whatever it was they were doing. And I think the reason why a lot of people choose golf courses is because it's a protected environment. Not anyone can just walk onto a golf course. It's a manicured environment. So it lets the mind stay at ease because everything's in its spot. It's organized. There's no chaos. There's no bums. Larry Ellison, it's one of the only places, unless he's in nature, if he's visiting one of his assets or his properties, he can get onto any golf course anywhere, high-end golf course, and just walk in a clean, pristine environment. And that's essential. That's why it's not necessarily lonely at the top. It's, I guess, contemplative at the top. It's a time to think and be creative. And these individuals are always looking for these environments where they're going at such a high pace, they want to step back and not be bothered, as you said, by like a divorce or thoughts of a divorce or a chaotic environment. They want this clean, cultured, straightforward, consistent environment. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're absolutely right. You look at the ocean and why are people so attracted to be out on the ocean is that your mind is not taking in all sorts of data. It's actually a very pristine environment. There's not a whole lot of data. I mean, there's occasional sailboat or boat that you're trying to avoid as you're on a 6 knot cruise. Things are happening at such a slow speed, like a walk in a neighborhood. If you're greasing the groove, walking the same path, you're actually not taking in as much data as if you're in a downtown environment, a nightclub. There's so much information coming into your brain that you're processing. You're off your mission. You're thinking about all these things that are coming through, and you're having to process this. Even the color of the car that's driving by, or this person's purse, or this person's outfit, or whatever. It's data that you're taking in that you're having to process, and you're thinking there's things that you're going to want to hold on to and think about. Why did that person choose that? That's an interesting car. What kind of car was that? What kind of motor is in that car? It's just, there's all sorts of data you're taking in that you're having to process, which is taking you off of maybe some more important things in your life. I'd say there's three things to think about, or to make moves in life to really move the needle. It's sometimes moving away from family. Family can actually kind of hold you down because they want you to you're kind of on the same level with your family. It's if you're around them, you're going to be about where they're at. So sometimes taking a break from family, or leaving your local area that you grew up in is hugely beneficial. Second is taking a break from friends that are holding you back, or basically kind of saying, I don't do that. I'll go out once a year. When I'm back home, Christmas, New Year's, I'll go out and have a few beers with my old friends. But other than that, it's not a thing I'm going to do every Friday night. The third thing is carving out 4 hours a day, a minimum of 4 hours a day, to just be on mission. I have nothing else to do for these 4 hours, a minimum of 4 hours. No cell phone, no distraction, no TV, no friends, no calling, nothing except my mission for 4 hours. And that might be just be thinking about a move, thinking about a brand, thinking about an investment, thinking about a business, thinking about, and I think that's why these guys are attracted to those environments: golf courses, the ocean, ski resorts. There's not a lot of data. It's like you're just lapping a chair. I mean, I've been up in Jackson Hole. It's like whiteout conditions. There's nothing to look at most of the time. It's gray, whiteout, and I'm just simply lapping a chair by myself in Jackson Hole on a Tuesday afternoon, for 2 weeks out of the year. And I'm able to think. I'm able to think through some moves. So I think it's lonely at the top.
Really interesting points. What you're pointing to is what this whole podcast is about, is creating financial freedom. And what that has to do with is performance. What performance is your effectiveness at executing on your measurable results. So say your goal is to create $100,000 worth of passive income this year, and then next year, 200,000, 300,000, whatever your measurable results are. There's like a cycle with performance. There's a cycle where you execute, and and then there's a cycle where or in that cycle, there's a position where you assess and reassess. So you just don't want to be executing all the time. To give you a perfect example, I fall into this. I will execute so hard until I get sick. It just happened to me recently. I'll go for 2 months straight. I'll hit a dang wall like that, and I go timber. I do it all the time. I just execute until my body says, no, you're done. I wouldn't recommend that for most people. What I recommend is having this balance where you're performing, you're executing, and then you're stopping, you're thinking. Because with that thinking, in that quiet environment, the key here is it's lonely at the top, or I would say it's peaceful at the top, depending on how you look at it. It's maybe our title was a little clickbaity. What we really mean is it's peaceful at the top, because between those bouts of performance, you want this peace, because then you allow your mind this space to put together connections that your mind otherwise wouldn't see in the execution phase, where you're just focused on executing. And as you get to a higher level, like Larry Ellison, you're probably focused more on just thinking, and then others are executing for you. That's the goal for Mario and myself, to get to that. It's peaceful or lonely at the top, however you categorize it, or whatever meaning you put on it. That's how we look at it. So the key to doing that is to understand your performance criteria. What are you building? What's your financial metrics? And then having these places, if you travel a lot like I do and Mario does, having these places like the Dana Point Harbor or Salt Creek on this path. Find these little unique spots. In nature is the key, where it's just calm and collected, and it puts your mind, the key component here is it puts your mind at ease. If you can sit there, and you can sit there for 3 to 4 hours, you found a good spot. Thank you for listening to this podcast. We invite you to get to know us by clicking on our LinkedIn profiles in the description of this video. Please subscribe, hit the bell notification for future updates, and share this content with your networks. Thank you for your valuable time and insights. We greatly appreciate it.